Hello, I'm Tim Reynolds and welcome to the Marriage Challenge podcast, brought to you each month by Care for the Family. I'm delighted to be joined by Joel and Naomi Brockett from the Isle of Man, and this month they're going to be talking about preparing for parenthood. Joel and Naomi have been married for 12 years and they've 2 children, Noah who's 3 and Phoebe who's 8 months. Naomi is currently on maternity leave and Joel is a media manager at an engineering firm. It's so good to have you with us, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Tim.
Thank you. Hi.
So before we look at this month's topic, why don't you just share a little bit about how you both first met?
For me, it was love at first sight. I moved to Shropshire in 1996 and I saw Naomi and I was like, oh, my heart was just taken for her. We've actually known each other for 18 years now. But she unfortunately didn't feel the same way about me. So we had to journey on that a little bit. Finally, she came around to her senses. And then at that point, I was like, well, I'm not going to make this easy for you. But it's been great. I love her so much. And we have gone on an incredible journey.
So this month's focus is looking at preparing for parenthood. Now, you guys are a little further on now as parents, but the reason that we're chatting to you guys today is that you do a lot of volunteer work with Care for the Family, supporting those who are preparing for parenthood. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about that?
We are volunteers with Care for the Family and we deliver Let's Stick Together sessions in the antenatal setting in the hospital. And it's just incredible material. You don't get a manual when you have a baby. You maybe have got some experiences and friends who'll chip in the odd comment here and there, but it doesn't give you the whole roadmap or the whole picture at all of what you should do.
So if we go back a couple of years and you were getting ready to have your first child, what helped you prepare as a couple for that big due date?
Well, we definitely didn't want to rush into having kids, and we kind of felt like we kept a plant alive, and we then moved on to an animal. We had a dog. So we thought, okay, got a well-established relationship. We've succeeded on those 2 areas, so let's try for a child.
So in terms of the preparation, I remember we had some audiobooks downloaded, and when I was, maybe 5 or 6 months pregnant by then, and we'd sit in bed with a cup of tea listening to our audiobooks, The Baby Whisperer and How to Baby-Proof Your Marriage and all these things, thinking, well, we're going to be so prepared and we're so good at this. At that time we hadn't heard of the Let's Stick Together book, unfortunately. That came afterwards, but we did try.
I actually, because I'm in media, I actually wanted to watch some videos, and I was getting quite nervous about the birth and being there and, not messing it up and not missing it. So I actually stayed up one night and I watched a birthing video, on a medical website, and I actually fainted and passed out. And the dog licked me on the face and woke me back up.
Cut your head on the table.
I cut my head on the table.
So at least you got that bit over with. That's before, right?
So actually, on the day, I was cool, which was really, really good. But it was a very embarrassing story.
You didn't tell me until quite far into the next day what happened.
I was so nervous. I didn't want to faint. I'm not that good with blood and things that are on the inside coming out on the outside. So I didn't know how I was going to be. So watching the YouTube video was probably a helpful thing, as in it got the fainting out and I could be there for Naomi on the day and meet Noah.
And so what kind of things did you talk about as a couple in the lead up to having your first child? What were the topics? What were the things that were quite kind of burning issues that really you needed to talk about together?
Well, there's all the practicalities, isn't there? There's the, where are you going to put the baby and how are you going to pay for this child and who's going to, reduce hours at work and all those complexities that you had to work through. So for us, with our first little boy Noah, I went back to work after 9 months, 4 days a week, and he was in nursery. With Phoebe, my plan is to work much less. Just now having done that, you kind of get an idea. Joel's in a different job, but you just have to be so... you have to take what has previously been your priority, so let's go out for lots of meals and holidays and we'll have fun and we'll do this and we'll do this. Suddenly it's like no, we just need to focus on the right food on the table and mortgage, and you strip back to the very essentials of life so that you make space for this new lovely person.
And then we get to the point where Noah was born. Just tell us a little bit about those first couple of months.
So Noah was actually born a month early. I worked that morning, went home, had a nap, woke up and thought, I think I'm in labour. And I called Joel and he didn't even believe me, but he came home anyway. And
I thought it was that false labour scenario.
Later that night, he was born. Unfortunately, he wasn't very well for the first couple of weeks, so he was in a special care baby unit then. So that was something we hadn't expected. We weren't, we didn't anticipate, but... And then with Phoebe, she was the opposite. She was born bang on her due date. She was a really great labour. We were home that day, but then I wasn't very well for maybe a month or two afterwards. And so having babies can sometimes be a bit messy and complicated. You all hope for this very smooth labour process and, a really easy recovery, and sometimes it isn't like that. So your marriage has to accommodate that and has to work through that.
And Joel, obviously for you, you're watching this happen. You're watching Naomi perhaps physically just being quite weak at that time. How did you respond to what was going on?
I remember in the delivery room, actually, when Noah was born, and they were ready to take Noah straight to SCBU, the special care baby unit. And I had a choice in that decision. Do I stay with Naomi or do I go with Noah? And I actually chose to stay with Naomi. And it was a really hard decision, but I put my marriage first before my child. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I just made that split decision. They were looking after him, doing a great job, but Naomi needed my support. So I made that decision to stay with her. And then as soon as I could, I went straight over to help and be with Noah.
So even in these early days, whenever it is quite manic and there's lots going on, and obviously your family aren't here, how do you navigate that and create that space for you both as a couple?
Because we don't have family living on the island. They're close, but they're a boat ride or a plane trip away. We were very aware that we weren't going to be able to go out as much as we used to go to the cinema, go out for a drink, go see a live band or something like that. So we realised it was going to test us, but we also realised, okay, we need to make sure we've got time together and we need to keep our relationship strong. Ultimately, we both feel so strongly that one day, as much as we love Noah and Phoebe, they're going to leave the house, they're going to leave us and have their own lives. And we want to have a really strong relationship. I want to stay as much in love with Naomi as I am now in 20, 30 years' time.
It's an area for improvement, I'd say. We try. We were listening to last time's marriage podcast about date night once a week, and you get the candles and the nice dinner out. Well, last night we tried that, and I think we had 45 minutes, then Phoebe woke up, and then there's this happens and this happens, and I'm shattered, and then the dog wants walking and a friend drops around and you're like, well, that was our date night done. So it really...
But you tried.
We did try. We did dim the lights for 5 minutes and we tried with our microwave freezer meal. No, seriously, we recognise the priority of it, I think, is the main thing, and we recognise when... I think we just need to spend some time together. What can we do in our calendar this week to make sure that happens? And even if it's a bit of a failure like last night was, we can try again to just create some space to just hang out, just to chat, and that's the key.
Conversations over the dinner table as well, even when, especially in the early days when Noah was just born, we could just find ourselves talking about him all the time and baby stuff and products that we needed to buy and DIY needed to do in the house to get his room ready to move his cot in. But actually we just try so hard to keep talking to each other about things that are relevant and things going on in our lives and our relationship, especially if Naomi was at home all day. She had no adult conversation, so it's really key that I was talking to her and we were chatting. I'm
like, tell me about your day at work. Just tell me anything. I don't want to talk about... I know what they've done all day. I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about... whatever. What video did you make? What did you do? Tell me.
So for couples who are listening and they're either considering starting a family or maybe they're in the process, getting close to that due date, would there be some advice you'd like to share with them from your own experience?
I think I really recognise that having a baby doesn't actually solve any problems in a relationship. If there's underlying issues in your relationship, they're probably going to come up more when you have a baby. as wonderful as it is having Noah and Phoebe, it does put us under a lot of stress and pressure and tiredness sometimes, which doesn't make me the nicest kind of guy sometimes, or Naomi's not maybe as sweet and lovely as she can be. So we definitely recognised that our relationship needed to be strong, and we needed to work on any weak areas before, during and after having kids.
Every month we have a little challenge for couples as we come to the end of the podcast. So for the couples listening out there who might want to just try a little challenge this month, do you have one that you could share with us?
Definitely check out 5lovelanguages.com website and go through it. It's a really simple multiple choice 5-minute survey, and at the end it pops up and says your top 3 love languages out of the 5 are, and then you can discuss it. And then especially for guys, you're no longer wondering what your partner's love language is, so you can do the things and know that she's going to be appreciated.
And also I think it's looking at maybe some bad habits in a relationship and trying to minimise or ideally stop them.
We know a couple where the guy was, doing all he could around the house to try and help out and show that he loved his partner, and
his love language was actions, wasn't
that's
it?
right.
Yeah.
And his partner was in just looking to have opportunity to spend time with him, and they were both expressing their love towards each other, trying to do things for each other, but they were completely missing it, and they're getting frustrated, and unfortunately they're no longer together because they just kept speaking different love languages. So that's really what love language is about. And as I said, go onto the website, check it out, know your partner's love language, and at least you'll be spending your energy and time doing the right things that are going to build your relationship.
Well, thank you so much for giving us some of your time in the midst of a busy household and sharing some wisdom with us. We really appreciate it. And for those of you at home, do try out that monthly challenge. We'd love to hear how you get on, how you have found the love languages once you've discovered them and put them into practice. So drop by our Facebook page, maybe pop a few comments on there and let us know how that went. Well, that's all we have time for this month's Marriage Challenge podcast. Thank you for listening, and do check out our website where you can sign up to subscribe to the Marriage Challenge podcast each month. We'll be back again next month with another couple and another topic. See you then.
You have been listening to the Marriage Challenge podcast. For further information about our courses, resources and events, please visit us at careforthefamily.org.uk.